All right, guys. Thank you so much for clicking in to Lip Smack in the podcast. I'm so glad that you clicked in and decided to stick in with us. We are planning on having a really, really good show today, and we're super excited because we have a special guest. Her name is Adrienne Wilson, and she is the founder of feedoursoul.org. And it's a movement, guys. It's a movement that she's going to talk to us about today. She's a chef, she's a gardener, she's a food justice advocate, and she's a wealth of information. So we're going to go ahead and open up a conversation with her. So I'm really excited. Let's go ahead and get this started. We have the beautiful Miss Adrienne Wilson. Thank you so much for joining the show today.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I appreciate you having me on. This is so great.
Oh, I know, right? Let me tell the people a little bit about how I met you. Do you remember that? Do you remember the networking event that we met?
Yeah, I do. I do. With George Fraser.
Yes, with Dr. George Fraser. It was a nice event. Yeah, we were at this networking event, and they gave the people who were there an opportunity to go to the front of the room and share a little bit about what they do, what their business is, what they do in the community. And Adrienne was one of the business owners that went to the front and shared what she did. I was actually taking pictures of you. I don't know if I got a really good clear one, but I was snapping away, snapping away. And she opened.
And you went up there too.
Yeah.
You were like one of the first ones up. You jumped up there.
Yeah, you know me. I'm big ham. Camera, action, let's go. Oh, yeah. And so, when she went up there, it opened my eyes to something that I didn't even think was certain things that were possible. So today she's going to share with you guys, the listeners, some things that you probably didn't even think or, was possible. So, Adrienne, can you open it up and tell us about the movement?
Absolutely. So Feed Our Soul is a restorative organization. We really focus on bringing direct and natural food supply to communities that are suffering from food insecurity and food desert environments. It's pretty interesting. I got into this because I experienced it myself. I was living in the Bronx when in my early 20s. And, I had to travel so far in order to get fresh and healthy. And I myself lived in a food desert. And, when you're living in you just think that's the way of life. I have to travel outside of my community in order to get food. But however, that should not be the case. And we have come accustomed to living that way when other communities don't have to live that way. And so I am bringing awareness to our communities to let them know that instead of having to travel to the grocery store, how about we learn how to grow our own food and be self-producing people so that we can have direct access to fresh food anytime that we need it.
Nice. Okay, so I guess that has a lot to do with one of the coin terms that you guys use on your site, solutions to end wellness disparity.
Exactly. So a wellness disparity is essentially the numerical difference between one community compared to a next. So it takes in many factors such as the economic status, the home status, the education status of certain living areas, and it analyzes them, and there is a distinct difference. And the main point is that some communities just have access to fresh food. It's been researched and scientifically proven that it is directly connected to their access to fresh food. And so that is what a wellness disparity is. And it really creates this cycle that's very hard to break. If there's a cycle of poverty, and there's a cycle of eating poorly, and this cycle of bad habits, which is why we are, so linked to generational trauma that, our Black communities are suffering from. So what I do is really try to help us break out of that cycle. And the way that I think breaking out of that cycle is through education and really teaching us how to connect with the ground again, really reconnect with nature, and learn how to produce our own food. And once we do that, there is an incredible transformation that happens to our self-esteem, to our self-awareness, to our physical bodies, to our mental, cognitive development. Is truly life-changing. And once I started on the journey, I knew that I had to teach our Black communities, how to do that as well.
I love that. It's like survival at with our own hands. It's like when we realize that if we become one with the earth, there will be no hunger for that particular individual because they're creating and growing their own food, and then like the power of fresh food that's been fed by the sun. Or tell me about tell me a little bit about how you're able to do this. Like, what are you educating them to do?
Okay, so I really teach you how to grow your own food. And so one of the biggest issues that have to do with food deserts is that we don't have any space or also, excess resources in order to have a full blown agricultural traditional garden. And so what doing my research and in really I found a solution, which was hydroponics. And hydroponic gardens is a sustainable technology that you can use to grow vertically and with very minimal footprint. Also using 90% less water and 90% less space. So I found this as the perfect solution, for urban areas and, for communities that only have a balcony of space that they can really use. But in that one balcony and learning how to grow vertically, you really transform your whole home environment because you have access to food directly there. And then once you have the garden, so what I do, I connect people with gardens. I also, plant them in schools as well. And then I teach you how to grow your homegrown produce. So then we're saying, okay, so you decided that you want to grow kale, you want to grow tomatoes, you want to grow mustard greens and collard greens and spinach. So how are we going to use these 5 ingredients in your daily routine, in your daily life, so that you learn how to cook you the food that makes you feel good, right?
Right.
That's the key, is teaching you how to do it. It's a choice. It's really a choice about if you're choosing health or if you're going to choose to be stuck in an environment that you can control, but it's up to you to make that
Let
choice.
me ask you this. When you mention, just for visual purposes, when you say growing it vertically, like as opposed to having rows of planted plants, you're saying just
Mm-hmm.
grow it straight up. Like, are we talking like beanstalk? Like, you know what I mean? What's going on here?
So let me explain the hydroponic technology. Yeah, I'll do as the best description I can. So on the bottom is a
Hmm.
reservoir, right? That's in a U bowl shape. That also is attached to wheels, so it's very portable and it's movable, which I love about it. And that reservoir can fill up to 20 gallons of water. Then on top of it is a reservoir head and then cylinders that build together like a tower.
Hmm.
Okay. And then on this tower, there are different ports that are along the tower. In one tower, you can grow up to 40 different types of produce because there's 40 different types of ports on each tower.
Mm.
And then so they stack high, right? So you can grow it as high or as small as you would like to. So you can, start with 15, you can go to 20, or you can just go ahead and do the whole 40. So then you do the seedlings, which is what I do my service. I do a seedling and I do the sprouting and make sure that your produce is up and running. And then we plant it and install it together in your home.
Mm.
And then we usually put it, in a sunny space. They do function indoors or outdoors. They flourish better outdoors, but they can function indoors as well. And then you just plug it in. And there's a pump that's in the bottom of the reservoir that shoots water up
Mhm.
through the tunnel, and then it trickles on down and it waters your roots and your plants. And then it reuses that water and cycles over and over again until 100% of it is inside the plant, being used for nutrients. And then you just fill up the reservoir.
Wow. Okay. So you said until 100% of it's filled, what happens?
Then the pump pumps it up, right? It pumps up and then trickles down. It pumps up and it trickles down. And there's a timer that is on it, which is also
Oh,
fantastic, because you can turn it on, you can turn it off. You can have it run all day. And so we typically have it run, every just 15 minutes, an hour.
okay.
Um, and so that's 15 minutes of time where it's just constantly watering it. And then the roots are coming down that's inside the cylinder. So you're not really seeing the roots. You're just seeing the greenery that is outside on the ports.
Okay. And then, so this technology is pretty amazing. How long has this type of technology been around?
Well, see now, you'll hear an old head said that hydroponics have been around for years because it really was used to grow cannabis indoors. And so now they've made it, and so where vegetables and produce can now be using it in such a portable way, where we have pumps that can use it instead of it. Usually used to have to be attached to your house and attached to your water pump, like on your home. But now, we found a way to make it portable.
How were you introduced to this technology?
Oh man, that's such a good question. I saw it at a restaurant.
Oh,
I was chefing, meeting with one of my chef friends, and at Sage, and they had some, and I was like, oh my gosh, what are these things?
mm, wow.
And so, and I love technology too. And I saw it and I was like, this is the answer. I was like, this is it. And so now it's about how do we get this technology into the right hands and into the right people so that they can effectively, impact our environment. And
Right.
that's what I work to do now, right? Is bringing the technology to that, because it is an investment and it is difficult for people to commit to it. And so I work together in my nonprofit so that companies and brands and organizations can then give this program to the people who really need it.
Well, okay. Is the I want to call it a tower for some reason. The yeah, the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Is it cost friendly, or is that why? Because you mentioned that it's an investment. Is it a time investment and a money investment? Is it like expensive?
It's definitely a time investment because you have to be patient with plants.
Hmm.
In terms of your lettuce and greens, those grow within 20 days, no problem. If I want to grow spinach, if I want to grow lettuce, and once it's in the tower, you'll have reoccurring harvesting within the month. In terms of longer things like tomatoes or peppers or vegetables, those do take a little longer. So you might say, like, why is it just leaves? But then all of a sudden you'll forget about it, and then boom, you'll have tomatoes just like that. So it really takes a lot of the guessing game out of gardening, which is what I love. It 100% will produce. It will produce year round. And so that's why I say it's an investment for sure, because you have to definitely take the time, and definitely be patient with it, in order for you to reap the benefits. But once you do start reaping the benefits, oh, you save so much time and money.
So, so basically, one of these towers can go into a classroom then.
Yes, absolutely. And that is my favorite part of my
Oh,
job.
good. So, yeah.
Is taking it to see to these kids and really showing them that this technology exists, and having them interact with the plants and interact with the machine. It's incredible.
That is really incredible, man. I'm thinking right now because that was another part of when we met for the first time because they were talking about the importance of technology, STEM programs that are out right now, and
Mm-hmm.
this is amazing. And I know some schools that are lucky enough they have the 3D printers. I could see a 3D printer print making one of these towers. This is
Oh
such
my
a crazy
gosh,
world,
that would be
wouldn't
incredible.
it though?
That would be incredible. And it's so, I love really having the students ask questions about it, and really think outside of the box. Like how can we make this smaller? How can we make this more portable? How can we make it more sustainable? Right? It's about asking those questions and pushing those boundaries of innovation, so that our kids how to create a better future for themselves.
Right. Um, when I was looking, you're so right. And I'm thinking about what I saw on your website when it talks about team. It mentions that you guys have a culinary team. So is the culinary team who goes out to the schools? Is it you? Is obviously you're a part of that team. What does the culinary team do?
Right. So the culinary team does go out to the schools, and we we harvest from the garden,
Mm-hmm.
and then we teach a culinary class to the students. And so we're getting the produce and saying, okay, what can we make with lettuce and tomatoes and mint and lemon, and let's use our brains and figure out what we can make with the food that we have available to us. And it's about teaching that life skill, right? About how to use your environment to the best of your ability, but eat and make the healthiest decisions possible.
Yes. You guys also talk to people like how you're saying, making the best choices possible when it comes to nutrition, right? And value of nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys help? Like, for example, take me, for example, I'm like, oh my God, like just an hour ago, I just bought a bag of mini Reese's cups because they were on sale. I don't know. But so, but obviously, you have to incorporate good stuff into our diet. So, is that something that you guys educate on as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. And so it's important to know that it is where you are, in wherever you are in your health journey. It's okay where you are, and that's where we take the time to study your relationship with food, right? Because that's really where it begins. What is your relationship with food? How do you treat food? How do you think about yourself with food? How did your parents treat food, right? What is your food environment? How often you go to the grocery store? It's looking at those habits
Mhm.
first and understanding where those came from, and then making small implementable goals and life habit changes so that you naturally start choosing health. You naturally start making decisions where you say, hey, I want a snack, and your eye doesn't see that stuff anymore. All it sees is the only stuff that's good for you. It's making a change mentally first. So that's where we would begin on that journey. And then once you get it, that's where I'm saying it's a permanent transformation. Once it clicks, and it will click. It clicks on everybody.
Right. Because it's like it's
Once
innate.
it clicks, then it's innate. It really is. It's just wakening up to it, and owning it, and not being afraid of saying, okay, yeah, I'm gonna only eat the things that are good for me, period, which we should all deserve to do.
Yeah. So I get it. We want to feed our bodies, we want to feed our mentality, we want to feed our empowerment, knowing that
Mm-hmm.
if we connect our mind, our mentality, our bodies, our hands, our work ethic, everything that we have going on, we can create nutrition. And not only can we create nutrition, we can break down barriers, we can
Mm-hmm.
make people feel better about what's going on, because now that you can grow vertically, now a person doesn't feel bad like, well, I want to grow but I don't have any space, and you're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, you can put it outside or you can put it on the inside. And you're like, okay, well, I'm not going to grow
Exactly.
enough. Okay, well, there's a lot of ports, and you'll be able to, once those greens start coming in, it's going to rotate every 20 plus days, and you'll have all this stuff. So there's really no excuses as to why it can't be done anymore.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. There's so many ways how ways and things to help you choose health, and that is what Feed Our Soul is here to do, is to help you make that choice. And we're here every step of the way.
Nice, nice. Now, how do our viewers find you? I know you have an Instagram.
Yes. So you can find me in a few ways. My Instagram is at Feed Our Soul. One word, no special things. And my website is www.feedoursoul.org. And you can contact me there, and you can, shoot me on Instagram. You can check out my recipes there. You can look at all the fun events that we're doing that are coming up. And we always have community service opportunities. So we're always open to having volunteers come and help out with food distributions and culinary classes and workshops throughout the area. So give me a shout out, and I would love to speak to you.
Oh, wow. This is great, guys. I'm looking at the Instagram right now. She is such a lovely person. First of all, I met her in person. I already know I felt her energy then and there. She wouldn't even be on this podcast right now, but I didn't think she was awesome and had good energy. And and I'm looking at the you're
Thank you.
welcome. I'm looking at all the different thumbnails on your Instagram. It's very warm. It's very like upon looking at it, you feel not, and I it's not like I've never eaten vegetables before or anything like that, but just looking at them and seeing you in action and smiling and in your garden and in your life, it's just really cool. So
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Sometimes social media, you're like, is this? But then you're like, who cares?
right, right. Yeah, we all have to we've all been there, like,
Yes.
but yeah, I like it a lot. And then I know we've mentioned it a couple times, but just want to say it again. She just mentioned it is feedoursoul.org. This is definitely a movement, and we welcome everyone to join this movement. I mean, I'm not look at me jumping on. I'm on the bandwagon too now, because can you imagine home after home after home having this, or like
Right?
or if it's an apartment complex, it could still be somewhere in the community area of the apartment complex, or it, yeah,
Right? You are hitting all the points.
yes,
Yes, exactly. Imagine if there was just an apartment complex and you just had to go to 3B to pick up all your vegetables. Don't have to go nowhere. Wouldn't that
that
be
would be
amazing?
so
Like, that's the world that I
right.
see.
And it would taste really good too, because it's the key definition of organic, like for real, for real.
Right. Right. And especially talk about local,
Yes.
right? Locally sourced. It's 1-2 feet away from
Right. That's amazing.
you.
We used to grow, like typically when we grow stuff, it's, strawberries. Typically when we grow stuff, it's strawberries, mint. What else have we grown? Some vegetable. Oh, greens. A lot of Black people got to have their greens.
I know. I know. But it's like, but now I grow so many greens because I can have so many. I love them. Before I was like, oh, like greens are all right, but I don't really need them that much. But now I can eat so many, and I put them in my smoothies. I
Oh,
juice. I have green. Oh my God, I love
oh wow.
it.
Oh wow. Oh my God. You're gonna have to start doing some how-to videos. That'll be so much fun.
Oh my gosh, girl. Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
2050 stays focused at the game, bro. I've been on my grind, staying out the way. I've been out of town trying